How I see the bubble already popping. I'm a bankruptcy attorney. I deal with real estate on a pretty regular basis. Foreclosures, refinancing, loss mitigation, buying, selling, etc. I probably do at least 20 consults a month with people dealing with foreclosure. There's two areas where I'm already seeing the bubble pop. First, my office is seeing a massive spike in foreclosures. COVID relief programs had a weirdly long impact. We're still well under 2019 numbers for both foreclosures and bankruptcy filings. If the last few months are any indication, we're on a path to quickly get back to pre-COVID numbers, if not exceed them. The other area where I'm seeing a spike is the number of people who simply can't afford their homes anymore. The ARMs from 2018-2019 are kicking in and people can't float their mortgage payment, doubling. I can't speak for every bankruptcy attorney in every district, but there's very little that I can do to fix a mortgage payment that's way outside of budget. I'm getting more and more cases where I have to say we can file a case to pause the foreclosure and give you time to sell this house to get some equity out. That's about it. Now I know there are many factors that impact the market, and I am not an expert on this area. I do know, however, that inventory has been a big factor in keeping prices high, and a big increase in foreclosure rates and people selling out of desperation would tend to increase inventory. Edit: I'm getting some pretty aggressive comments, so maybe I oversold my position with the title. Let me clarify. I don't think the bubble has already popped. It obviously hasn't. I'm saying I'm seeing strong on the ground indications of it heading in that direction. Maybe foreclosure rates will level off at pre-pandemic levels, but the affordability issue between ARMs and simple escrow increases on a house that's doubled in value gives me no reason to believe the foreclosure rate will level off at the historical mean. Another edit: I'm getting a lot of the same response of they could just sell the home and never get close to foreclosure. They're dumb if they didn't do that. Some simple math. Jane buys a house in 2019 for $200,000. That house is now worth $400,000. Problem is, her monthly escrow is nearly doubled too. So she can't afford the payment anymore with how much other monthly expenses have risen. She could sell her house for $400,000 and have $200,000 in cash. Problem is, every suitable replacement home in her area is now also $400,000. So if she sells her home and uses that $200,000 as a down payment, she'll still have $200,000 in principal in her mortgage. Just now with a much higher interest rate. Not sure why everyone's being so dismissive. You're telling us what you see. It's understandable with both inflation and property taxes increasing over the last few years. Some people would be priced out of a house that wasn't an issue before. No ability to refinance. If you made the mistake of holding an ARM, then you only have one choice. Definite increase in bankruptcies. I'm another BK attorney. You have to ignore people in this sub. They all think their home's purpose is to make them wealthy, not be a place to live, house their families. Common sense and on-the-ground perspectives that are contrary to what they believe won't sway them at all. Thank you for your observations. They have helped solidify what I think is happening. We are in the first or second inning of this thing. There's a long way to go and the game may have to be extended. ARMs from 2018-2019. Lol. People stuck in this situation have no one to blame but themselves. You coming in a room full of real estate cheerleaders and used house salesmen with that type of info can get you flamed. Lol, I believe it. Some folks on here just drank the Kool-Aid and are all rainbows and sunshine about the real estate's future. I think the restart of student loan payments, combined with a potential decrease in SNAP And the end of a lot of childcare subsidies is going to be very problematic and bring down the overall economy, which in turn will hit the housing market. What specific area of the country are you seeing this? As a realtor in Southern California, I just don't see many adjustable rate loans from 2018-2019 that are doing anything to residential houses real estate, but there are some obvious challenges with the commercial market. Where I live, I'm seeing the prices starting to drop decently. Inventory for 4-8 weeks ago seems to have sold, but the current inventory seems to be sticking around. Kind of curious what the next 3 months have in store. What market are you in? Thanks for the frontline real news. Nice job 100. Student loan repayment up next. Lots of bankruptcies and repos too. As someone who didn't buy into the bubble and wanted to wait it out. Good. Now I've saved for a few extra years and can maybe afford something if prices drop. Who the fuck got an arm in 2018-2019? Ignoring the arm argument that doesn't make much sense when rates were in the 2-3 range, why would anyone that bought before 2022 be foreclosing? Home prices have gone up 50 since 2018. If you couldn't make your payments, you wouldn't foreclose. You'd sell the place. Take your tax-free $100,000 and be on your merry way. Thank you for sharing your experience. It's important to recognize early clues of possible distress and shifts. This comment section is gross, ignorant and pompous. Figures. Op. Next thing I'm watching for based off some indicators in my market is investors will start selling off homes en masse when their profit margins start depleting because all they can sell to is themselves. Lol, tears of joy. It's like funny not funny. You know? Sigh. It looks to me like you're staying strong on the ground, indications that we're headed back to normal. Normal is not bad. Also, I am doubting you about arms. Arms go up gradually, and most of them have caps. I'm not a financial genius. In fact, I'm probably a financial Luddite. But even I can see that there is a day of reckoning coming for many Americans that have leveraged themselves over the last 4 years. Between the cost of living and families assuming their student loans would be forgiven, many households made what I would consider poor financial choices. Is it enough to crash a market? No idea. I guess we're all about to find out. Do you think the startup of school loan payments will affect foreclosure rates? I remember 2008 and I've been wondering about this. These rates and housing prices are unsustainable. And PPL sound a lot like they did in 2008. Spending huge amounts of their monthly income on a house. That works until something expensive happens or somebody gets sick. I've heard PPL assume that if the bank approves them for a huge loan, it must be okay. Thank you for this post. Interesting to note that Walmart announced it is decreasing starting pay for new hires. This is the shoe that hasn't yet dropped. And a target of the Fed's rate increases. It's beginning to touch labor and the Fed isn't done yet. They will either hold here for longer than people think, or even raise again. How difficult is it to sell a home? That's in chapter 13. I want to sell mine but afraid the process is going to be too complicated. But money is getting tight. Hey, thanks for posting this. Please post updates from time to time. The area I'm looking for is down 9 this year. I love reading this stuff and all the comments. I personally would listen to ground troops who deal with day-to-day fallout. Then some paper-wielding couch officer. Gotta love how OP purposely omits his location. I can't count the amount of times I've heard I'm in X industry and we can't keep up with the number of foreclosures over the past year, yet no floodgates. Prices remain high year over year and foreclosures low unless you use red herring like Phoenix.